TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Getting back to you and Arn, back in '88, I believe it was. What led you guys to go over to the World Wrestling Federation?
Actually, the whole deal was this. My contract had run out with Crockett in like April. They were not pushing to renegotiate my contract. I was one of the first 5 guys to sign a contract with guaranteed money. And it was not guaranteed money per week. It was a yearly thing.
Right.
So we never changed our pay procedures. It's just if my income would not have reached a certain level, he would have kicked in at the end of the year. And my first contract was for $300,000 guaranteed, whether I got hurt or whatever. And I got 75 the first year, 100 the second year, and 125 the third year. And that had never been heard of. And so I just, and this is great. You know, Flair got one, Dusty got one, I got one, I think Magnum got one. Maybe Slater. I'm not sure who. But in the meantime, the Road Warriors signed a big contract.
Right.
For $500,000. They're paying their manager $360,000, for heaven's sakes. Paying Paul Ellering more than you paid me and Arn.
Right.
Is there something not wrong with that picture? But I'd signed my deal, and I was happy. When my deal was up, I wanted to sign a contract. I was supposed to fly to Dallas. They'd moved the office to Dallas. And my first day off in like a month and a half, and I missed my plane, and wasn't that big a deal. You know, we got to get this thing done, and we'll do it again. I didn't want to fly to Dallas anyway.
Right.
Didn't want to move to Dallas. So they never tried real hard to meet me again. And Tully's faithful, and he'll never do anything, and he's loyal, and da-da-da-da. Well, in the process of this time, the negotiation for the sale of Crockett Promotions to Turner Broadcasting was going on. And during the summertime, they interviewed. Okay, they weren't in the hurry to meet with me, but TBS's head people, the guy that eventually hired Jim Hurd, and I forget his name, but we met with him. All the stars had to go meet with these people, and they'd ask you questions, and really, my problem is I'm just honest, and never really been around the corporate world or anything like that, so it has always been to my own detriment, unfortunately. The guy asked me and Arn this, and this. And I said, this, and this. I said, there's a reason why we lost 3 TV stations this week because of ratings. And getting back to your point a long time ago is there comes a point whenever you got the booker, and this is not against Dusty, this is against anybody
Right.
that ever had that position, where when you've only been at the Florida territory or Georgia territory, one guy could carry the load. This had got bigger than anybody. And it was new ground. So, I mean, in Dusty's defense, we'd gone someplace he didn't know what to do.
Is that why I think what led to Crockett's failure?
And we had got to the point where the guy calling the shots couldn't be the star anymore because we needed more stars.
Right.
Okay? And we were bigger than that. And so I said that in a meeting to these guys at TBS, and it made Crockett mad and it made Dusty mad. But those people asked questions and opened up Pandora's box, and Crockett called me on the phone and told me I wasn't loyal. I mean, this is the same guy that cuts himself 250 times a year. 300. We wrestle 335 times a year, days a year. Twice on Sundays. So sometimes you're cutting yourself twice on Sunday. And I wasn't loyal. My God, I wasn't loyal going out there getting beat up by the Road Warriors who were making $500,000. And Paul Ellering stood there and made more money than I made. And I wasn't loyal. Man, I'm telling you. You guys wanted a shoot interview. I should raise. I can't be politically correct. And Crockett called me and told me I wasn't loyal. And I said, "Is that right?" Hung up the phone. And the travel sheet came out the next day or so, or the next week. I forget how just far it was, but we were in Houston, Texas. And the travel sheet with who was on what planes, and they took the jet 4 different cities, and my name wasn't on the list. And I said, "What's wrong, JJ? I'm not." I said, "Why am I off the list?" And they just took you off the list. I said, "Is that right?" I told JJ, I can remember him bend over in his briefcase. I said, "Is that right?" I said, "I'm 35 years old. I don't need to be spanked." I said, "You want the championship belts tonight, or you want them tomorrow night in Philadelphia?" I said, "I'm gone." And JJ came back and said, "Tomorrow night in Philadelphia." I said, "Okay, I'll be there."
We videotaped that match, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah. Snuck a camera.
Did I look tired? I'd been up all night.
I remember Marriott Hotel. You guys were on the phone. I think either you or Arn, and you're like, "Come on downstairs already." There was a big, I think, flare call in the lobby. So one of you guys, either you or Arn didn't want to come down.
After the matches?
No, it was before the matches. You guys were drinking, I think, before the matches. I remember.
I wasn't in a good mood. And they wouldn't talk to us in the dressing room. And Dusty hugged Arn and walked right by me and growled.
After all that.
So I left. And Arn came with me. I didn't expect that. Hadn't talked to him. Didn't ask anybody. I just left. And then he came, and we'd already talked to Vince, but that was for other stuff.
So years of all that, and that's how they treated you.
Oh, yeah.
So you ended up with WWF, and I think your first program in was Rockers, right?
Yeah.
How would you compare WWF to the WCW and NWA?
How would I compare it?
As far as the way it was run, the people.
Man, I could get in. Vince calls the shots. So you've got a guy that is not, back then, wasn't in the ring. So you had somebody that was only concerned about business. The thing that Vince did is this. He took people from the other company that at that time, not so much to benefit his own company, but to hurt the other company. And when I discovered that, it was way too late. Way too late. And it really disappointed me. And really, I mean, here you are getting ready to go and do things. And when we traveled and wrestled the Rockers, I mean, we had tremendous matches. They told us they were going to put the belts on us. And in every major city in the country, we had to do a job for the Bushwhackers.
Right.
Okay.
and watch them tear down 4 Horseman signs in the audience. And had 2 in Charlotte, North Carolina, too. And they couldn't draw down here back then. I mean, we brought in everybody, Hogan and the whole deal, and only did 7,000 people at the new Charlotte Coliseum. And our last show, where Arn and I wrestled Midnight Express and same card in Philadelphia, our last night, we did 13.5 or something, doubled the crowd. So it was very disappointing, to say the least. They put the belts on us because they felt they had to or whatever, and the which was a good business thing for Vince, because what we actually became was the main event in the C towns, and we had enough A towns so we'd make decent money, but and we made good monies, and the pay-per-views made up for a lot of stuff. But I mean, we took the C towns from being big losers to money makers. So on his part and in his defense, it was great.
Right.
I mean, here we took these guys. It killed the other company. When we left, after they got done advertising us, their business plummeted.
Right. 91.
Okay? 90, 89, 90, 91. But now Vince, instead of losing money with his C towns, was making money. And so, but we weren't making any more money.
Right.
I mean, we were gone more, traveling more. My gosh, it was horrendous. And having to buy our own tickets home, and I mean, they were cutting costs and all kinds of silly stuff. And then to go through the pressure of guys telling on you all the time on the road, and you know, I mean, I should have filed unfair business practices, because it was okay to smoke pot and take pills, but it wasn't okay to snort cocaine. You know, I was I should have had a discrimination suit. But you know, and having to watch what you do and who you talk to and what you say to people. I mean, it was a good learning experience. It really was. But it was not wasn't a memorable time in my life, although it had some really, really high points. I mean, never would I have ever walked the aisle in Madison Square Gardens if I wouldn't have went to the WWF.
Everybody talked about that. Anybody we've ever done a shoot interview with, that's their dream, to walk MSG.
Madison Square Gardens is the epitome of entertainment and sports. There is no greater building with more nostalgia, more great events. There's an energy and an electricity. I heard Magic Johnson talk about, there's 3 great buildings: Madison Square Gardens, Boston Gardens, and the Great Western Forum. I would tend to agree with that. But none like Madison Square Gardens. And so I got to walk the aisle there as world champion and main eventer, and was a big thrill. And I learned a tremendous amount about efficiency and promotion and TV production and stuff from them, because they do it right. I mean, no matter what you think about Vince McMahon, no matter what I think about Vince McMahon, he's a genius. I mean, he has taken the wrestling business, his wrestling business, with oftentimes less talent, less ability, and year in and year out produces a money-making product.
Right. How long was your contract there for?
It was actually just an open, nothing. I mean, it wasn't anything special. I mean,
Right.
we weren't guaranteed anything. We weren't anything. Just come and go to work.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.